Welcome back in to speak. I already told y'all what it is when I'm here with my dog, Dave Helman. I do not enjoy football conversations with anybody more than I enjoy them with Dave Helman. Nice. We've been working together since 2016, back when we were working for the Dallas Cowboys at the Star, where the Cowboys practice. So let's talk about the Cowboys. Starting with Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence got paid $55 million a year. What in the world does that have to do with Dallas? Well, Dak Prescott, in unprecedented fashion, is playing into the final year of his deal. That never happens in football. Nope. A report says, quote, that it's legitimately possible that Dak Prescott will see $60 million a year. What does this man's money have to do with this man's money?
I think this establishes the floor for Dak Prescott. I think when you talk about the deal that's coming for Dak, now you're talking about $55 million a year, and we can guess at the guarantees if we want to, but the salary, $55 million a year, being the floor for Dak Prescott. Because if he were to sign that, honestly, this will make people mad. So if he signs for $55 million a year, he's probably doing the Cowboys a favor, saying, fine, I'll take the Trevor money, I'll take the Joe money. If he hits the open market, then yes, I agree, he's worth 60 or more million a year. So I think 55 is probably his floor.
Now, you told me, and we had this conversation about 10 minutes ago, glad y'all are here for it now. Dave said something interesting. You said Trevor Lawrence got paid because of what?
Because of what what he can do, not what he's going to do, but what he can.
So if he got paid because of what he can do, we already know what Dak Prescott can do. Win in the regular season and not win in the playoffs. This isn't me taking a shot at Dak. He's been in the league for 8 years.
It sounds like it.
He's been in the league for 8 years.
It sounds like a shot.
He's been in the league for 8 years. We know what he can do. You paid Trev because of what he can do. What you believe Trevor Lawrence can do is take you far. Dak Prescott, you know, based upon the empirical data of the last 8 years, cannot take you far. So why in the world can Dak Prescott stand on the block of Trevor Lawrence's growth when Dak does not have the same high ceiling?
We don't have to do this. We know Matthew Stafford had the greatest success of his career way late into his career. It took John Elway until the final 2 years of his career to finally win a Super Bowl after losing several of them. The book's not written until it's all the way over. Do I know that Dak Prescott's going to win a Super Bowl? Absolutely not. But he turns 31 next month. He's only 30 years old.
Okay.
So you're talking about a guy who's 30 who made All-Pro last year. A bet on Dak is a bet on what he can do.
But what do Stafford, Elway, and Lawrence all have in common?
More natural talent than Dak?
#1 overall pick.
Yeah, sure.
So when you look at Dak, why in the world would you want to pay him what you're going to pay Trevor? Because you've already said it. Trev didn't get paid because of what he's done. Family, he's 20 and 30 as a starter. He should not have gotten the same money as Joe Burrow, a #1 overall pick. But he did because of the promise of the future. Dak does not give you that same promise at all whatsoever. And you know I do not hate Dak. I do not despise Dak. I was with the Cowboys when Dak got drafted. But we know Dak Prescott's ceiling. He's hit his head on it for 8 years now.
I don't necessarily think that's true. And look back at the last...
How's it not true?
Okay, first, don't say 8 years. Look at the last 3. And look, I don't have a rebuttal to the playoff failure, but in my opinion, everybody in the Cowboys organization has to wear that failure. It's on more than just your quarterback, though he is a big part of it. But the bottom line is 36 wins over the last 3 years.
Sir.
Nobody but Patrick Mahomes has done that. And even as a lesser talent, I hate what I'm about to do. I'm not saying Dak is going to the Hall of Fame. But you look at players like Drew Brees.
Okay.
You look at even players like Tom Brady.
Okay.
Again, I get it. Not saying he's going to win a bunch of Super Bowls, but guys drafted later in the draft. Tom Brady, 6th-round pick. Drew Brees, 2nd-round pick.
What point are you making?
I'm making the point that at the age of 30, a quarterback who wins off of his ability to dissect the field and do all of the mental aspect of quarterbacking, like Dak, because let's be real, he is not this physical specimen like Trevor. Dak hasn't necessarily hit his ceiling, and a new deal is a bet that he has more room to grow.
Dave,
what's crazy about the thought that a guy who is just now 30, again, who does not rely on his physical ability to win, has yet to hit his ceiling. I don't know that that's true, but I know teams will be comfortable betting on it.
Here's what's crazy about it to me. There is only one quarterback in the history of football who went to a Super Bowl with the team that drafted him and won it after year 8. I believe that's Peyton Manning.
Well, the funny part,
unless you believe that Dak Prescott has that same innate ability as a #1 overall pick, Peyton Manning, he would have to do something that only Peyton's done. Matt Ryan went and lost. Now, you can go to another team, a la, the Drew Breeses of the world.
The funny part is we don't know that Dak's going to be with the team that drafted him.
But the point here is if the Cowboys pay him, I believe he's hit a ceiling with the Cowboys. You know this. We were there when he got drafted, and I was with the Philadelphia Eagles. Dak Prescott's had an incredibly talented offensive line. He had Tyron Smith, Zach Martin, Travis Frederick. He had a great offensive line that you leaned on the running game. DeMarco Murray, 1,800 yards. He didn't win. And then he had a really good defense the last 2 years. You got CeeDee Lamb, you got Micah Parsons, you got DeMarcus Lawrence, you got Trayvon Diggs, you got DeMarcus Lawrence, you got Micah Parsons. He didn't win.
It's a long list.
He had a crazy offensive coordinator in Kellen Moore who's going to run all types of former Boise State plays. He didn't win. Then he had a traditional offensive coordinator in Mike McCarthy. He didn't win. You got a great defensive coordinator in Dan Quinn. He didn't win. So he's seen all types of different shapes and amalgamations of offense, and he hasn't won. So I do not believe that he can win, not because I don't like Dak. 8 years now. 8 years now, and he ain't got it done.
All-pro for the first time in his career, MVP runner-up at the age of 30.
Still didn't win.
But again, he's 30 years old. Good quarterbacks, especially, again, ones that don't lean on the physical side of their game to succeed, they can play up to the age of 38, 39, 40. Man, Tom Brady played till he was 45 years old. There's a lot of football left in Dak Prescott's career.
I'm not saying there's not. I just think there's a lot of above average football left. Because remember, Dak is not the cerebral player that Tom Brady is, or that Drew Brees is, or that Peyton Manning is. No, you're right. He does not necessarily lean on his athleticism in its entirety. But would you bet that Dak Prescott will have a better career going forward than he already has thus far? You're an incredibly intelligent football mind. Would you bet on that? That his future is brighter than his past?
Yes, I think I'm cool with that. I think I'm good betting on that. And the fun thing, which again, this is all in the context of the Cowboys, but the fun thing for Dak is that what they think doesn't matter anymore. Because if they don't want to sign him, somebody else will.
Very true.
And there's nothing that they can do about that.
Very, very true. I always love these conversations. Trevor Lawrence, Dak Prescott, the NFL, things are going crazy when it comes down to money.
Subscribe here to get the latest from Speak, and go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.